I never learned my lesson, huh? Dragon Maid Season 2 is airing, and I like it a lot. Sadly, that means more people have found their way to my Iruru video, and Lord help me, there is no rest for my poor pastry soul. Though, I will admit that while I stand by the points I made in that video, I do agree that my arguments weren't the best. How my speech and debate team brother thought I did good, I will never know, but regardless, that's not why I'm here again today. At least, not yet. What I want to talk about are the rather disturbing elements and implications that came along with the whole... geez. So, Iruru is convinced the only reason Kobayashi is living in harmony with Toru is lust. We get the whole haha Kobayashi is confused for a man non-joke, and Iruru decides to prove that it is, in fact, lust that keeps Kobayashi interested in Toru. She goes about this by giving Kobayashi male genitalia. Cue a montage of Toru and, disturbingly, Kana being close to Kobayashi, which results in blushing and comedic overreactions. This is gross in several different ways, of which I shall now explain. First off, the implication that just because Kobayashi now has male instincts, whatever the hell that means, she becomes horny at any casual contact with a female. Toru hugging her is enough to make her flustered, and I don't know if this is my asexuality talking, but like, men and women can exist casually, platonically. Even if it's on terms of, like, attraction, there's no reason for Toru to get so flustered around someone she's been living with for over a year at this point. And frankly, I don't buy the whole male instinct thing, or whatever. That's just super weird. What? Secondly, the fact that Kana, a child, which we have discussed before, is the source of some of the fluster. Like, Kana curled up against Kobayashi when she wakes up. Why is that something that flusters Kobayashi? It shouldn't, because nothing about that situation was sexual. Kobayashi is Kana's parental guardian, and that has flat out been stated in the series. So why do these little moments create any problem for Kobayashi? It's really weird. Thirdly, the fact that Toru kind of acts super gross. When this first happens, Kobayashi chooses to wait it out instead of telling Toru so that she can fix it, because she thought Toru would use this chance to mate with her. So, firstly, ew. Secondly, Kobayashi was right, because once Toru figures it out, she basically drugs Kobayashi with the love potion from the Valentine's OVA, which, side note, was also super gross and creepy then. The language Toru uses is so gross and off-putting, saying she'll fix Kobayashi but only after they have intercourse. In other words, coercion. In other words, like, if you put this scenario on paper, there's no way to defend it. Thankfully, it doesn't happen, and the show moves on mercifully quickly. The entire segment, this whole plot line only lasts for the first 7 minutes, and I am so glad, because all of it was so uncomfortable. Another thing I would like to point out is the very transphobic nature of this entire plotline. Thankfully, Kobayashi stays at home and is never treated, quote-unquote, like a man or whatever, but the phrase, "now that you've become a man," gets repeated several times, and just because Kobayashi has male genitalia doesn't change the fact that she's still a woman. Kobayashi grew up as a woman, identifies as a woman, lives as a woman, she's a woman. If anything, Iruru just changed her from a cis woman to a trans woman. Now, I highly doubt that was the angle the story was trying to take, but seeing as it already has a very simplistic and almost animalistic idea of sex and gender, it's worth pointing out. And now moving on to the Iruru section of this video. Mainly, I'm just confused, because I have seen evidence that Iruru isn't supposed to be a child, but rather just a short adult with a large chest, which, first of all, relatable. Your girl can legally buy alcohol, but by God, she will be carded every time. And secondly, it doesn't really make too much sense. Like, I always read Iruru as an older child. We have Toru and Kobayashi, who are the parents, Kana, the youngest daughter, and Iruru, who's a little older, so still a minor, but more so a teenager, if anything. But then Toru says that she and Iruru are the same age, but later Iruru says she's 16. But that would make Toru 16, but Toru is clearly treated as an adult in both dragon and human form, so she can't be 16. Well, 16 translated into human years, but what I'm saying is Toru is clearly an adult. Iruru, it gets complicated. Which gets even more complicated later, when Iruru gets a part-time job at a candy store and meets Taketo. He's a high school boy, and Iruru says, I'm 16. He goes, oh, we're the same age. And they even start developing feelings for one another. So, if Iruru is supposed to be a child, then it's super weird how she gets sexualized at every goddamn corner. But if she's supposed to be an adult, then it's weird how she's being romantically paired up with a teenager. Clearly the author didn't think this through, or more likely, just didn't care. And before any of you pull that age of consent is 13 shit, I would like to inform you that 1, that's not how the law actually works, and 2, just because it's legal doesn't mean it's moral. Child marriage is completely legal in the US with parents' consent, and if you think that shit flies, then please either rethink your life choices or never speak to me again. And yes, in this case, 16 counts as a child. In terms of Japanese law, I am neither qualified nor do I have the energy to explain it, so I'll just throw up this chart and beg of you to do your own research instead of repeating the same nonsense the internet tells you. I still like Dragon Maid. I'm still watching the new season. I adore the music and the animation and most of the humor, and I thank Kyo Annie every day for toning down the lewder aspects of the series so that many others like myself can enjoy the soft lesbianism of two wives and their dragon daughters. Oh, God. Anyway, hey, you should, I'm streaming How to Full Boyfriend every Monday. We're in the Bad Boys Love route, and it's really funny to watch my two friends who have never played How to Full Boyfriend, suffer. So, come on down. That's how you promo.